Hi, I'm Jacqueline Snyder, and this is the Product Boss Podcast. I've helped launch and grow thousands of product-based businesses, even one of my own. And over the last 20 years, I've seen behind the scenes of businesses just like yours. Whether they are makers, manufacturers, artists, or food and beverage businesses, I have spent so many hours studying it all. I've discovered what makes them successful, what mistakes they could have avoided, how did they turn their ideas into a successful business, and what are the strategies that they have used to make more sales and be discovered by more customers. And this is what this show is all about. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to become $1 million product boss, I'm here to give you the permission to chase your dreams, no matter how big or small. All you need is the right mindset, a little courage, strategy, and support, and you too can be the next $1 million product boss. Let's do this. Oh my goodness, friends. If you are anything like me, you probably spend more time running errands than running your business. Am I right? Like everything needs something. We got to run around. And I knew that this was like a major issue for me back in the day, which is why I decided to get help where I could. And I decided to let Instacart handle all of my grocery shopping. So I no longer had to worry about running all the errands and having to run out and get more almond milk for my lattes. Rather, I was like, you know what? We're just going to let Instacart handle that. So I want you to imagine skipping the store and getting back to designing, packaging orders, making, or maybe actually taking a break, even a nap. Remember those? Okay, so with Instacart, you can get groceries and essentials delivered in as fast as an hour so you can focus on growing your business without sacrificing a meal. Plus, less stress and more focus. And here's a tip. I've actually used Instacart before to order gifts from my daughter's friends' birthday parties because I haven't had time to run out and get presents. And I've been able to get the packaging, like the gift bag and the gift, like hello Sephora, delivered to my house while I was in the middle of coaching sessions so that I could have the present, right? It's like having a personal assistant without having a personal assistant. So if you want to do what I do and get the help where you can try it now if you head to theproductboss.com/Instacart. Hey, product bosses. Okay, really quick. Are you spending more time making all your products or maybe packaging your boxes than actually growing your business? I know. Okay, so if you've ever wished that someone would just tell you exactly what works when it comes to scaling your product brand into real money, right? Like good profit and making sales and growing this business that I know you've dreamed of, then I have something really special for you. I pulled together a special bundle of our top podcast episodes that every product-based business needs to hear. So think of this as your shortcut straight to the strategies that help you grow your sales, build a brand that lasts, and avoid that burnout that no one is actually talking about enough. So we're talking mindset shifts and marketing strategies and those behind the scenes lessons. And yes, you're going to have some quick action plans and strategies that we're going to share in here as well. So it is my top episodes playlist and it's totally free. We just wanted to gather it up so you didn't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes and think, what do I want to listen to, right? Let's make it easy. So all you have to do is head to www.theproductboss.com/top or click the link in the show notes. Pop in your email. I'll send over those exact episodes that have helped thousands of product-based business owners like you move from the hustle to sold out, right? I want you to go from where you are to getting you seen and sold. And that's all going to happen with this compilation of episodes for you. I just want to make it super easy. So let's start building your business with clarity, strategy, ease, and freedom. Hey friends, hey product bosses, and welcome to another episode of the Product Boss Podcast. It's Jacqueline Snyder here. And I've been thinking a lot. You've heard me do these coaching calls and they have been amazing because if you know anything about me, I have been coaching product-based businesses since 2007 when I started Designer Consulting Co-op, which is my fashion consulting company where people came to me and they said, you know what, I have an idea. I want to make something. I want to sell it. They'd come to it with an idea and I would help them go from the point of ideating it, right? What should we make? Why should we make it? Who's this thing for? All the way through production, making the products, and then selling them. And so I took them all the way through the steps. And I've been doing this for so long. And I know that a lot of you are absolutely loving the episodes where I'm coaching. I'm getting amazing messages from you on DMs and, you're leaving really amazing reviews for the podcast, which I'm so appreciative of. And I was just thinking about it. And I was like, what are the steps? What are the steps that we've been coaching on? I've been trying to break it down because, well, Multi-Stream Machine is an amazing program, right? That's our signature program here at the Product Boss, and it's a thing that has changed product-based business lives. I was realizing there's other people out there that maybe are not getting it, right? They're not hitting the nail on the head. They're not sort of figuring out the things that they're like, we're doing the things, but it's not really working, right? They feel like there's something broken or off in their business. Something just isn't working. And so, as I've been coaching over the past few months, and I know you've been listening to these episodes, I wonder if you've seen the trends that I've seen. And so, the trends that I've seen is I've realized that there are some foundational elements that are truly missing from these product businesses that I'm coaching, from a lot of people that I talk to in our community. That I'm like, okay, I can tell you all the places to sell. I can tell you how to price your products, how to get more eyes on your business without you having to do anything with social media, without you having to pay a cent for ads, right? That's absolutely what, we teach inside of our program, Multi-Stream Machine and all the things. But I'm like, what about the people that, maybe aren't ready for that yet, or they're doing it and they're like, it's kind of working, but there's something still feeling like it's missing. And so I figured it out. And I wanted to share it with you today on the podcast because I was like, this is it. This is what's missing. So, this is what I've seen. And I know you've heard me talk about my framework. So, there's these steps within the product based business world. So, we ideate it, we make it, we brand it, we market it, we sell it, we operate it, and then we grow it. So, what I realized is that a lot of product based business owners out there, they came up with this idea, right? Just like my clients that came to me, they have this idea. They're like, I have this amazing idea for whatever company. And then they're like, this is the idea. And now I'm going to make it. And they jump right into making it. They figure out how to make it, whether they're going to make it themselves, whether they're going to manufacture, whether they're going to source. They're like, this is it. I've got the idea and I'm going to do it. And then they jump straight to selling it. They jump all the way to selling it. And maybe you're thinking, maybe this is you too. You might be thinking, I've missed some foundational parts to my business. And this might be the key. This might be the exact thing that your business is missing that is going to be like that key that like unlocks that next level of growth, that unlocks that next level of success for you. So I wanted to get into it today because it's the thing that I see getting in the way, right? It's the thing that I see that I know you have amazing products out there. I know that, you're putting your heart and soul, you're putting your hard-earned time and your money into making this product and you want it to grow. You've got this great idea. There's just something that's off. So what I know about you is that you want to get in front of more customers, right? You want to get in front of an audience or more people to know about your business, and then you want to convert them into paying customers. You want them to buy. I also know this about you, that you want to stand out in a crowded market, in a sea of candle-based businesses, in a sea of jewelry businesses, in a sea of, wooden sign businesses, whatever kind of category of business you're in. You're like, how do I stand out? How do I stand out against the big guys? How do I stand out on platforms like Etsy? I get that question all the time. It's, well, I've got my product and they've got their product, and should I charge less? Should I race to the bottom to compete with other people selling the kind of same thing that I'm selling? And how do you stand out wholesale, getting into retail stores? Or how do you stand out if you decide you want to sell on Amazon, or you're showing up at a live market or a fair and you want to do that? And so this is something that I've seen, and this actually literally works for anyone that sells a product. So whether you're just starting out, keep listening. Or if you've been in business for years, keep listening. If you are a student of ours, keep listening. If you're not, keep listening. Because the thing is that if you are a business that needs customers and you're struggling to reach your ideal audience, to get them to convert to buying from you, to get them to convert to being a customer, then maybe, just maybe, you haven't nailed some of these foundations. So, I think the thing is that, and what I've seen is that, and through all the people I've worked with, we have 80,000 students at the Product Boss. I work closely with people, whether they're in my mastermind. There are people in some of the programs that we work with all the time. And I was thinking about it, no amount of trainings, courses, or tactics that I give my students are going to work if they are not clear on the foundations of their business. And I know that's not a sexy word, right? I know that, foundations is, okay, Jacqueline, like that's great. But you want to know what is a sexy word? Getting customers, getting those cha-chings on your phone, making sales, right? Because maybe you're working hard and you still feel, a bit fuzzy about it, right? Like you're like, I've seen people talk about this where they're like, they feel fuzzy because they're like, I think I have a customer for my in-person markets, and then I have a customer for online, or I have a customer on TikTok, and then I have a customer on Etsy. I have a customer on Etsy and I have a customer on my e-commerce site, right? We feel like our customers are different on the sales channels that we're selling. So maybe you're fuzzy about that or confused. I think the other thing that people feel is, and this is so true for us as entrepreneurs, is they feel out of focus or unfocused. They're okay, I know I need to focus, but I don't know what to focus on. What is the thing you need me to focus on right now to get the results that I desire? And that all leads to being super frustrated. Obviously, I would be. I mean, I have been frustrated in trying to figure out unlocking that next thing. What does my ideal customer need? What do they need? How can I solve that problem for them? How do I meet a need, want, or desire? Like, what is worth me making and building that is going to convert someone who hears about it into a paying customer? So you might be feeling like you're doing all the things and nothing seems to be working, right? And you're doing a lot of things. Or maybe you've hit a wall and you're like, I'm done. I don't even know what else to do because maybe you feel defeated. You're not seeing the results that you're wanting to feel. And so what I realized is that we give a ton of information and we educate a lot on this podcast. And if you're in any of my programs or my courses, if you're in the mastermind, however you work with the product boss, right? We give you some amazing steps and strategies in these courses. But I was thinking, I was like, what I think? And like I said in the very beginning, you came up with the idea and you made it and you jumped straight to selling it, but you missed this like core part, these foundations. And I'm thinking there's 4 core foundations that you've missed. And so what I realized is, perhaps Multi-Stream Machine and some of my other programs, they're picking you up at steps 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And maybe we need to go all the way back and teach you steps 1 through 4, right? Steps 1 through 4, those things that perhaps you skipped over, because how could you know? Unless you've been in business forever, unless you've worked for other people, unless like marketing and, not even entrepreneurship, there's just parts that you would know to start with. And some of you maybe did it and maybe you did 1 or 2 of these and you like kind of still maybe feel fuzzy about it. Or you feel like I need to meet the needs of all these different people and all these different customers, right? You're not like super focused. And I think that's the part that I've realized that I need to teach more of. And so I'm really excited to kind of dig into those foundational parts for you today. I think that they're essential. And it's even really important as you grow, even if your business is growing, you might think, you know what, I might need to go back and think back on my foundations. Like perhaps I did skip that step. Perhaps I would be more successful or get more customers or, all the things that you wish and dream of if you went back. And I got to tell you, here at the Product Boss, we do this. We do this multiple times a year. We check back in and we're like, are we still, who's our ideal customer? Where are we now? Are we serving our ideal customer? Are we connecting with them? Are we creating the products that our customer needs, wants, desires, or will solve a problem for them? And so I'm going to dig into this now because there are 4 core foundations that I have seen on repeat through all the coaching I've done at the Product Boss, through my years since 2007, coaching over 2,000 fashion businesses, even my own. And I thought, you know what? This is what it is. This is it. This is the nail. I hit the nail on the head and I'm like, this is it. This is what's missing. And I'd love for you to think about it too. So one is this overall idea of thinking about nailing your niche. I talk about this a lot of times where, maybe in Bestseller Secrets Challenge, if you've been a part of my challenges, where I talk about what are you known for? What is, and I jump to bestseller, but a lot of you perhaps have a lot of things that you're selling and you're not sure what you're known for or what you should come out with. I know as a creative, I'm like, I want to make and do everything, but it costs money to make and do everything. And it's also super unfocused and hard for our customers to know what we're known for. So the first foundational part is nailing your niche, and it's nailing your ideal customer. Okay. They're kind of one and the same because you need to be known for something. So first, I think there's a huge mindset part that we have to get over, which is if you're known for everything, you're known for nothing, right? So we can't be known for everything. If you think about any of the brands that we love, that we know, for example, Rothy's shoes, if you're familiar with that brand, when they first started, they started with recycled water bottle, but pretty colored shoes that were flats. They were like ballerina flats with a pointed toe. That's what they came out with in lots of different variations to start. Now, if you go look up Rothy's, they've got other shaped shoes, they've got handbags, they've got other accessories. But this is years later after they became known for something. People knew their name, they nailed it, they nailed their customer. So, my question to you is, do you know who your ideal customer is? Do you know exactly who she is, who he is, who they are? It's not a range of people. I got to be honest. It's not, women that are 25 to 65 that love shoes. That's not your ideal customer. So if you don't know exactly who you're speaking to, this could be a major gap in your business. This could be a huge reason why you're not seeing the results that you want. And also, do you know the exact products that your customer needs, wants, desires, or solves a problem? Do you have that idea of like your product market fit, that whatever you're making fits like a glove to your ideal customer? Because the thing is that you could literally sell anything. This works for candles. This works for teaspoons. It works for dresses, wall art, soaps, tumblers, literally anything. It could be anything that will still meet a need, want, desire, or solve a problem for your customer. So do you know exactly what that is for that product market fit? And the other thing that I've seen sort of like really stand out to me is when I talk to people, I ask them if they've done their market research. Do you truly know who else is in your market? Above you, bigger companies, below you, smaller companies, all different price points. Do you understand who that is? I mean, as a fashion designer, when I worked for bigger companies and for my friends that work at Gap and Nike and Abercrombie and Fitch and Quicksilver and all these big brands, we would be sent to other cities and countries to go shopping. They'd give us like $10,000 budgets and we would go shopping and we would actually start to get to know who else is in the market doing what we're doing. What are they making? What are they selling? What's working? That was our whole job, was to really understand the market. So if you're not getting out of your house or you don't have exposure to other cities, like maybe you're not able to travel, to different countries or different cities, maybe you're in a small town that doesn't have access to like trends. We have to figure out how you could find that. Because not only trends, but it's also just understanding the market you're selling to. Because your customers are aware of the market. Your customers know if you sell candles, they know all these different candle companies. If you sell jewelry, they know lots of different jewelry companies. And so you want to understand who that is so that you know how you can fit in and stand out. And I think what all of this will do, the whole goal of all of this, is that you would be able to come out with your MVP. Your MVP is your minimum viable product. Because then there's not going to be any more wondering about who your customer is. What do they need, want, right? Like, how can you solve that problem for them? And you might be thinking, will they even want what I have? So all of this, when you nail your niche, you nail your ideal customer, you are going to get so clear on who they are, no matter where you sell. Like, no matter what, if you're selling in person, if you're selling on Etsy, if you're selling online, if you're selling on social, it doesn't matter. Because let me tell you, Nike doesn't change their customer if they sell to you in somebody else's sneaker shop, if they sell to you in their store, if they sell to you on TikTok, if they sell to you on their own website, direct to consumer. Nike's customer stays the same. So we have to figure out how you can identify how you can be known for something and know exactly who your customer is so that you fit them like a glove. And it is impossible for them to say no. It's impossible for them to say no because it's just what they need. Hey friends. Okay. So I don't know if you're anything like me, but sometimes it feels like my self-care routine is slipping through the cracks because when I'm juggling and wearing all the hats in my business and doing all the things, I mean, the last thing I have to do is like really fulfill that self-care routine that my daughter's talking about. She's like, Mom. So listen, so when it comes to running a successful business, you can't really pour from an empty cup. And a lot of times that self-care is like one of the first things to get yourself recalibrated. So that's why I want you to meet Glossy. Now, Glossy is my favorite daily beauty supplement designed to transform your skin and gut health from the inside out. And I'm actually an investor in this business because I so believe in this idea of science-backed ingredients for digestion and skin hydration. And Glossy makes it really easy to look and feel your best without that whole 10-step routine in the mirror, the thing I don't actually have time for. All I have to do is simply mix a stick into my water and I'm good to go. So if you want to try this, because I so believe in this business, I think it's amazing. It's done so many wonders for my skin and my gut, which are two things that I need help with. And you want to simplify your wellness and your beauty, all you have to do is click in the show notes and you can use the code Jacqueline Snyder. So it's my full name. Use the code Jacqueline Snyder and I'm hooking you up with 15% off your order. So cheers to glowing skin and a thriving business. Okay, so the second foundational thing, right? Because I said there's 4 key foundations that I see that everyone's missing, is actually this idea of nailing your brand and messaging. Okay, nailing your brand and messaging. So here's what I see when I've talked and coached people. I've realized, you know what? They don't have clear messaging. They don't even know what they're saying to their ideal customer about what they're known for. So they're not even able to have clear messaging in their marketing. And listen, you're not expected to have known how to do this. If it were me, and I am a creative, I'm just like you, I came out with an idea. I happened to go to fashion school. They taught me how to make clothes. They taught me how to design and make apparel and go work for someone else. I learned all this other stuff about messaging and branding and all that through studying what other people do, through working for other companies, through having to do this over 2,000 times for my own one-on-one clients. I've learned it over the last 20 years. It's why we're a top marketing podcast, right? Like it is something that I love. I don't think I've ever told you all this, but I wanted to go into advertising. Like when I graduated high school, I actually wanted to go into advertising. So marketing is very much a part of the thing that I love so much. It's like, how do I make the connection for the customer and the product? And how do I connect it all together? But unless you were trained in this or you have an affinity for it, which some of you might, you're not expected to know it. But now that you know this, you are expected to learn it if you want your company to grow the way I know that you want it to grow. So we have to nail that clear messaging, and it needs to be so aligned with your customer that you know what they need and they know that you exist. So what happens around this? Well, one, I think that it's this idea of building a brand. So brand is a new way of talking about things. I haven't talked to you all about brands before. And funny enough, I actually realized when I was serving my students at Designer Consulting Co-op, I would say helping you build a brand from the ground up. Well, people don't understand what a brand is. So it's not a word that I'm sure that you are familiar with necessarily, or you're thinking oh, that's too big for me. I'm not a brand. I'm just a small business. I'm just a maker. I'm just doing this. But let me just tell you what a brand is so you can kind of understand why it's important. So a brand is a product or a service or a concept that is distinguished from others and can be easily communicated and marketed. Okay. It's distinguished from others and can be easily communicated and marketed. So a brand can include a product name, packaging, pricing of it, history, reputation, and how it's advertised. It's also visual and symbolic. So we could think about, Pepsi and Coke. Ultimately, they're both selling us, caffeinated drinks. They taste slightly different, but they're the same. But the overall brands have a very different feel. And you might be a Pepsi person or you might be a Coke person. So there's the flavor, right? There's the flavor that you like, but there's also the idea of how both brands were advertised to you, right? It's how it was. So Pepsi versus Coke brand positioning, okay? So they have very different personalities. You know this, and you might know this innately. You may not be able to pin it on its head right now, but they have very different personalities. So not only are the logos very different, Pepsi has a very simple font and Coca-Cola has a very specific cursive that we look at and we're yeah, we could tell the difference. But also in the way that it comes across. So Coke tries to come out looking like a family-friendly brand, right? It's something that's, everyone's together and they are having fun and they're a family together and there's all that. Now, Pepsi has a little bit of a different way to it. It's a little bit more using celebrities, younger celebrities. So it's almost like the cool soda. So Coke is what you bring out and you're this is a Coke and, the family's doing it and they're loving it and they're living their life. But then Pepsi has this feeling of, they've used Britney Spears and Michael Jackson and, other celebrities like that they are like, this is the cool soda. So they just have this like very different approach to them. And so that's the same thing that you have to think about when you're thinking about your business and that there's a brand, right? When you're asking, why are they going to buy my jewelry and not someone else's? Why are they going to buy my art and not someone else's? Not only is it the visual appeal that they like, but it's also what you've built around it with the messaging. So I think around this and this foundational part is, do you have an elevator pitch? Do you know how to tell somebody in a second, this is what I sell and this is why you want it? Do you know how to stand out in a crowded market with your messaging? Because you need an MVB now, like an MVB, which is a minimum viable brand. We don't need to be huge brands. I'm not expecting any of that from, us as small businesses, but we need to know why us. And we need to be able to communicate that. And this is why you need to be able to communicate it. If you're on social media, they have to understand why you and not someone else. And when you get this clear messaging, you're going to be able to create hooks and messaging for your social media, for newsletters, for emails, for your blogs, for wherever you're selling. Because you need to be clear on your messaging, and it needs to be created in a way that your customer like leans in and sticks around. That's how the sales get made. So if you're telling someone, oh, I make beaded jewelry, okay, great. But if you have a really clear message to it, you have this great elevator pitch, and then it's talking to your ideal customer, they're going to lean in and ask for more information. And then the person who's not your ideal customer is going to check out, and that's cool. They're not your ideal customer, but you're going to lose all of them. You're going to lose all attention if you cannot have clear messaging. So I would say that's the second foundational piece that I see really skipped over because it feels fuzzy. I get it. It's hard sometimes when we're so up close to what we're already doing, like it's hard to define it. And sometimes it takes work or reflection or study to start to figure it out. We kind of actually have to slow down and go back to these foundational pieces before we can speed up and move forward. Okay, so the third foundational, the core of these core four, the third one is actually nailing your offer and your pricing. Okay, so this is kind of that idea of thinking about your products and thinking, how do I create the best offers to attract my customers to me to actually buy from me? So how do you learn how to sell more of what you have without putting your products on sale? Or without feeling like you have to make all the things for all the people, hoping someone's going to buy something from you. So first, we really have to think about like the mindset that comes in here, because a lot of you think, I should be selling this. I should be doing that. And other people, because I've seen this inside of our community, I've been like reading the posts, people are talking about their pricing. Actually, I just got asked this last week and they're like, well, I don't feel like I can raise my pricing because all of these other people on Etsy are pricing so much lower. Why would they buy from me? Well, one, if we think about these foundational parts, you haven't nailed your niche or your core customer. So like, why would they want it? You haven't nailed your messaging because it would be so inevitable for them not to buy from you if they knew, yes, this fits me like a glove. And then the other part is for us and our mindset around pricing. I have seen more people sell more of their product when they're priced correctly than thinking like, I have to underprice this. And when you have your messaging nailed, it makes so much sense. So I really want you all to work on this concept of you deserve to get paid. This is not a hobby. If you're listening to the Product Boss, it's because I know that you want to take whatever amazing, beautiful, creative idea, whether it's a side hustle, whether it started as a hobby and you started selling it, whether you're like, I am all in and this is a business and I am going to grow. You're here because you want it to grow into a business. It's not a hobby. And my friend, you deserve to get paid. And how are you going to do that? Well, you need to take all that market research that we just talked about and create offers. Like we need to know what we are selling. We need to make an offer so good to our customers that they will actually buy it because it's what they want and it's what they need. I just coached a student. I remember, well, not just, but it feels like it. During Black Friday, she's in my mastermind and she said, you know what? This is going to be my Black Friday offer. She told me what it was. It was like a bundle of soap, hand cream, and I don't know, room spray, I think it was. And she said, I'm gonna sell this. This is gonna be the bundle that I sell for the holidays. And I did it last year. And I was like, okay, great. How was it last year? She said, it didn't sell at all. And I was like, why are you gonna sell it again if it didn't sell at all? I was like, maybe it's not what they wanted. Just because you were putting it together doesn't mean that it's solving a problem for them, and it doesn't mean that it's meeting a need for them. Conversely, there's another student of ours, Paloma Danger, shout out to her. She's amazing. And she does eco-friendly kitchen products. So she hand knits eco-friendly sponges that are reusable. She has like a cool scrub brush. She has a lot of eco-friendly products, like reusable, instead of using paper towels, like hand towels, things like that. So she created this bundle during the holiday season. I had seen her at the Renegade Craft Fair, and it was a scrub brush, a little tray for a sponge, one of the reusable sponges, and that might have been it. It was like a really good bundle. And what it was, and it was like $75 and it was gift wrapped. And I bought it for my mother-in-law. I wanted to buy one for myself, but I bought other things. And why was it such an ideal product? Because it solved a problem. The person, her ideal customer, wants reusable and effective kitchen tools to wash their dishes, and it met every need. The scrub brush to scrub the stuff that's hard to get off, the reusable sponge to use as a sponge, the thing to drain it, perfect. That bundle made sense. Now, if she had put the scrub brush with the reusable hand towels or like the paper towels, right, but they're fabric, I might not have bought it because they're two different needs, right? They meet two different problems. So she nailed it. She nailed her offer. She nailed the thing she was selling, and she nailed it with pricing. Because guess what? $75 is a lot of money to a lot of people, but it actually was like the price point I wanted to pay. The value was there when I looked at like the way she packaged it, and she was with her ideal audience, her ideal customer, because she realized where she sells up in, I think she's outside of Portland, Oregon, I think. She wasn't selling to customers there. They weren't her ideal customers. They didn't understand it. You know where her ideal customers are? Where people are buying $8 coffees, where people are like, drive all the Teslas in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in New York, in San Diego. And so I've nailed it. She nailed her ideal customer. She nailed her niche. She nailed her messaging, and she nailed her offer. And she raised her prices. She didn't even have to raise her prices, what they were worth. And she, instead of lowering it and being like, oh, the people in my town aren't buying it, I should lower my prices. She's, no, I just need to go where my ideal customer is. And she sells 3 packs of her sponges that are $18 each. 3 packs, each one is $18, not a total of $18. When she was up in her town, people are like, that's crazy. I'm not going to spend that. When she's in LA, people are like, I will take all 3 for whatever 18 times 3 is, which is what, close to $60. So this is how it works. These are the foundational parts that work. So like I said, we need to work around the psychology of it. You need to take your market research and figure out like, what are the offers that they need? And then you want to map out what you're going to sell and when, like understanding your ideal customer and what they want when they want it in the year. Because guess what? Your ideal customer is probably not buying Christmas ornaments in June. So what will you sell them in June? You kind of have to understand, when you know your customer and you know their needs so well and you know your messaging, you can sell them anything at any time of the year as long as you know what they need. And then I think it's really important to create your hero offer and then know what you're going to sell in promotion. What are you selling the whole year? You know, we're going to have busy months, we're going to have slow months, but you're going to kind of need to know that. And the other thing you really need to know is how to price correctly. Now, in Multi-Stream Machine, I teach you all about the pricing formula. You've heard me talk about it on the podcast. That is not what I'm talking about right now. Right now, I'm talking about actually why pricing matters, the psychology behind pricing, and how it's going to work to actually get your ideal customers to buy. And the secret is it's not about lowering your prices. And so what I want you to really understand is that you actually will sell more to more people when you are actually priced correctly, when you know your customer. Because a lot of us think if I just lower my prices, I'm going to sell more. That's absolutely not true. It's not true. It's not true. If Chanel, which by the way, during the pandemic, raised their prices 30%. So a bag that used to like now starting prices on those bags are $10,000, which is absolutely bonkers. Okay. It's like more of an Hermes bag than it is a Chanel. And I know you hear me talk about these designer bags, but it was an important thing to me as I was making my own money. And Chanel has gone up in price. If Chanel, they went up and they're even more coveted. They're even more desired. They're even more aspirational for their ideal customer. If Chanel was like, you know what, we're going to go from being $5,000 bags to $999 bags, it would lose the brand. It would lose their ideal customer. It's not that they're going to sell more of them. They would actually completely change their market and probably not exist as long as they've existed this long. So that's something you really have to think about, right? And so when you know all of this, when this all comes together, when you nail it on the head, your offer and your pricing, your messaging and your customer and your niche, this is how, no matter where you're selling, you will know exactly how to sell it. And once you nail all of this, you'll also know, like, how do I write my product descriptions? How do I write my copy? How do I write my captions? How do I write my emails? The words are going to do the selling for you. Okay. And then the final of these core 4 foundations that I'm just like, these are the things you're missing. Okay. The final one is nailing your marketing. Yes, marketing. If you were a maker, if you're a manufacturer, if you sell things, you also need to be a marketer. You just do. And so when you know who you are selling to, what you are selling, and why they want it, right? Now, the marketing part, I imagine it like this. I imagine a marketer is someone who's like an excellent fisherman, right? Like fisher person. Imagine you're standing there on the edge of a river and you've got your fishing pole. I love that I'm using a fishing analogy because I do not fish, but we'll just go with this, okay? Because actually one of my clients is like the number one company in the world for women, fisherwomen, fishy wear. Shout out to them out of Alaska. And so if you're standing there on the shore and you're casting your reel, you've got the hook and you've got the bait and you're casting it, we need to get the fish to bite. That's what marketing is. Because if you don't put the reel and the hook and the bait in the water, you're not going to catch a fish. We have to hook, line, and sink them, right? I'm using all these analogies that I don't even know what I'm using, right? But you just got to do it. You got to cast it with bait at the end, and it's the bait that the fish you want to catch want to bite. Because also if you fish, there's different bait for different kinds of fish, right? There's different strategies for different, if you're fly fishing or you're fishing in the ocean or wherever you are. Again, I probably need a better analogy than this since I am not a fisher person. But here's the deal. You need to know who you're selling to and what you're selling and why they want it. Because then you need to learn how to go out and get your customers. This is not passive, this is active. And you need to learn how to go from maker and manufacturer to a marketer. And marketing, my friend, is how you're going to get the sales. So first part that we have to overcome from a mindset perspective is that you can market and not feel salesy. Okay. A lot of people are like, how do I sell? But I don't want to sound salesy. That's cool. We don't have to. Because when we're actually serving our customers, they have a desire for a Chanel bag. They have a problem that can be solved with your amazing product, right? Even if you sell candles, maybe their house is stinky like mine is currently because my dog decides that I've got a huge 70-pound dog. He likes to go swimming and then he likes to do that and he likes to come in my house and he likes to roll around on my carpet. So guess what? That carpet sometimes holds onto that smell. So I could light a candle for a room freshener, or I can light a candle for a mood. There's different needs that I have it for. So when you kind of understand that, you're not selling to me, you're actually helping me solve a problem. If you're showing me jewelry, you're helping me meet a need, want, or desire of how I want to look or feel. A Chanel bag makes someone feel a certain way. That's why they go for a Chanel bag and not for just a generic bag that they can buy somewhere else. It has status to it. So when you start to understand that and identify it, then it becomes easier. Because here's the deal about marketing. And here's the deal about selling your products. And I say this, so you've heard the saying, if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one around to hear it, does it even make a sound? Well, I'd like to switch that around. If a product boss sells a product and there's no one around to see it, do they even make a sale? And that's why you need to learn to market. So you need a marketing plan and you need to figure out active ways that you're going to market. And there's also passive ways to market. And let me just say something real quick. And this is a hard truth. I don't care if you're an introvert or an extrovert. That is how we get energy, right? Introverts, if they're around a lot of people, they might need to go lay down in a room by themselves on the floor, right? That's an introvert. Extroverts might be at a party around a lot of people and then they can be like me and go home and record podcasts because they're fed by that energy. But it does not take away the fact that we still have to show up for our businesses as marketers. We still need to let people know that we exist. And we need to know how to do that. So you need a marketing plan. You need to think about, how do I do this? You need to think about, where am I marketing, right? It's omni-channel. It's actually in all places. I walk my students through this, especially like my one-on-one students or my masterminders, and we actually break down marketing campaigns from really big companies because guess what? we can hack that. We can hack marketing campaigns. And I know exactly how to do that. I know how to look, where to look, what to look for, and to show you like, oh, this is what they're launching. Oh, this is how they're marketing it. And we can actually hack it and reverse engineer it to say, okay, I'm going to pay attention to this because they have millions and millions of dollars in market research and the teams that they have in their advertising dollars. So why not? We don't need that. We just need to know how to hack it and reverse engineer it and then do it for our companies. The other thing you need to learn about is a launch. I think a lot of people don't even know what a launch is, but a launch is when you're coming out with a new product or a new scent or a new piece of jewelry, or you're launching your holiday collection or whatever it is. It's actually a whole marketing campaign where we start to seed it, where like people are kind of aware of it. Then the day that we sell it, I just had a student ask me, we're going to be, I think it's at the MTV Music Awards. And we're going to be a part of the gifting bags and like the gift suites. Do I tell my customers? What do I do? And so I coached her through an entire marketing campaign and how she was going to launch it. And then how she could use that and then how to sell more of her products after. So we have to understand what a launch is, why you need it, and why it's going to actually help you sell more. Because it's not always about social media, but then social media is a really big key player because it is the easiest and fastest way to grow an audience and turn your followers to customers. When I had my businesses, I did not have access to social media the way that you have it. So today, we can reach people on the other side of the world, on the other side of the planet from us, through understanding how we can use social media. None of us have to be content creators. None of us have to dance on TikTok or whatever the people are doing these days, right? We can step out of that and understand how to use it as a tool for marketing because it is the easiest and fastest way to grow, but you just maybe don't know how to do it yet. And if you've been paying attention to the Product Boss, we have been growing so fast lately, so fast. And so that's something that I want you all to understand and I want you to know. Because I also want to teach you how to stand out on social media so you can grow your audience. Because when you grow your audience, you have more people to sell to. So I think it's just really important. And then the other thing might be like, know where your customers are. So when you know your ideal customer, we can figure out where they are. And then you're going to also realize, oh, I've been selling in the wrong places to the wrong people. The same way that Paloma realized, Paloma Danger, that she had the great product. She knew what it was and the problem it would solve. She just didn't know her target market. So she wasn't selling because she was selling in the wrong places. So if you're thinking like, I'm going to markets, I'm at fairs, I'm on Etsy, I'm selling, I'm selling wholesale, whatever it is, but maybe you're not finding yourself selling the way that you think you should be selling. It might be that you're selling in the wrong places to the wrong people. One of these things might be incorrect. So when we nail these core 4 foundations, it'll make it so much easier for you to sell on more sales channels, right? It'll make it so much easier for you to have that multi-stream machine of revenue. You can sell on Amazon. You can sell wholesale. You can sell direct to consumer through your e-commerce site. You can sell at any in-person market as long as you're at the right one. You could sell more on Etsy. You can sell wherever you're selling, whatever that marketplace is. But without these core 4, which is the thing that I've seen and I've realized, oh, this is what's missing, then you're putting yourself in a really hard place. Okay. So like I said, we've skipped steps. You came up with the idea, you made it, you went straight to selling it. And if you're like, oof, I've missed something, then this is what I think we've missed. And so you're probably identified in here and you're like, yeah, that's definitely some of the stuff, Jacqueline. Yep, we did it. Like we're there. That's some of the stuff that we've missed.